Hey guys, how's it going? So for this video, I wanted to discuss a subject matter that really interests me heading into Season 6 of Better Call Saul, and that is seemingly just how far Saul Goodman from Season 5 still needs to go in order to become the character he was when we first met him in the plot of Breaking Bad. Because in my opinion, what I really found myself thinking about as I watched Season 5 is that Saul Goodman in Better Call Saul, even through the conclusion of last season, still does not really completely resemble the firebrand, brash and brazen criminal lawyer who really thought nothing of killing to serve his own interests when teaming up with silent partner Walter White. And I really think that this observation can really be highlighted and summed up in Season 5 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Bad Choice Road, where we can see just how much the collateral damage of the death of Fred from Travel Wire at the hands of Lalo really seems to have torn Jimmy up inside.
What about Fred from Travel Wire? Was he in the game?
No. There was a lot wrong with what happened then.
Yeah, Lalo. Lalo killed that guy. And for what? He killed that guy and we're helping him. All this shit. Just to... so he can get out of jail and just get away.
Which in my opinion is a pretty extremely stark contrast from the man who said these things in the plot of Breaking Bad.
As to your dead guy, occupational hazard. Right. Drug dealer getting shot. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's been known to happen. And if he doesn't, there may come a time to talk options. Have you given any thought to sending him on a trip to Belize?
Belize?
Yeah, Belize. You know, where Mike went to.
We were wondering if maybe this isn't an Old Yeller type situation.
And now with Season 6 being the last and final season of Better Call Saul, to me, it still appears that this transformation of Saul Goodman's character is going to need to occur very rapidly next season in order to see this completion of this looming transformation occur on screen. However, in contrast to this, there's another theory that I have thought about, which in my opinion Bob Odenkirk may have subtly sort of recently alluded to on an episode of The Howard Stern Show, that this character Saul Goodman is just that, a character that Jimmy McGill assumes over the course of Breaking Bad.
I got that first script from Vince, and I immediately started fucking with it, just like a comedy writer does. I started, I wouldn't say that. Oh, what if I said this? I started writing all this garbage.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle of it, I went, you know what? Hey, what if you tried to be an actor? What if you just tried? Would that be okay once in your life, you fucking clown?
Right.
And I thought, well, I'm not me. I'm Saul Goodman. I'm this guy, and he's chosen to talk this way. He's actually chosen this persona. He tells Walter White, this is all phony. This is a thing I'm inventing.
So in my interpretation of this interview, I think that this statement by Bob Odenkirk may have just hinted at the intentions of the creators of Better Call Saul in Season 5 to potentially display to us on screen in the plot of Better Call Saul next season that Saul Goodman is somewhat just a persona that Jimmy McGill puts on when he's at work.
Mayhew. Is that Irish or English?
Irish.
Faith and Begora, a fellow potato eater. My real name's McGill. Yeah, the Jew thing I just do for the homeboys. They all want a pipe-hitting member of the tribe, so to speak.
Now, I'm not actually sure how this nuance, including Jimmy's shifting moral compass, might be conveyed to us on screen next season by the creators. I nonetheless still really do feel that there's a very good chance that this is the way that the creators are going to lean when displaying to us Saul Goodman's character transformation next season. And interestingly, I think that one clip from the plot of Breaking Bad that could retroactively be used in hindsight to further justify this theory actually took place in Season 4 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Hermanos, as part of the plot where Saul drops off Jesse's money for Andrea and Brock. Listen carefully to how Saul interacts with Jesse in this scene.
How is it?
Space, lots of light. It's a little garden out back. It's nice.
And Brock? How's he doing?
Hey, look, I don't mind dropping checks off every week like Ed McMahon, but if you really want to know how they're doing, why don't you go see for yourself?
So in my opinion, after watching this clip, I really feel that Saul Goodman's more humble and reserved demeanor in this scene really comes across more like Jimmy McGill. So I really think it's possible that Saul had let his guard down with Jesse here, and is somewhat reverting to his natural true self. Additionally, to even further amplify this theory that I think was somewhat alluded to by Bob Odenkirk, that Saul Goodman is just a character that Jimmy McGill is playing up, I think it should also be noted that we never actually saw Saul Goodman outside of his place of work, and that we only saw him displayed to us on screen in the context of facilitating Walter White. So we really don't actually know what he was like when he was at home and alone in his personal life outside of work. So I really think that this open-ended aspect from the plot of Breaking Bad could be utilized by the creators if they do decide to show us that once Saul Goodman returned home, he more or less then shed his lawyer persona and reverted to who he naturally was. That being said, in contrast to this potential theory, I do have to point out that one wrinkle in this ostensible desire from the creators of Better Call Saul may have come in a Breaking Bad webisode entitled Live Saul Cam, where we can see Saul Goodman alone in his office all by himself. In this webisode, in my opinion, we really see Saul Goodman acting in the demeanor of his character even when there is no one around, which I would guess mean that Saul stays in character even when there's no one around for him to impress. I guess he's a method actor, if you will. But on top of this, no pun intended, we can also see that in this webisode, it appears that Saul Goodman regularly has sex with prostitutes based on the actions and dialogue in this scene. An activity which may not exactly align with the creator's intended vision for the character next season, especially as it pertains to the plot of Kim. But at the end of the day, I'm not really technically sure this webisode is canon, but I guess we'll see. But nonetheless, while I do think that things could be leaning towards the creators displaying to us next season that Saul Goodman is just a character that Jimmy McGill plays up, I certainly don't think that this was the original intention by the creators when Saul Goodman was originally conceived in the plot of Breaking Bad. Because as we all know, Saul Goodman's character was primarily used as comic relief to cut through the dark nature of the plot of the show. I mean, there's figuratively a countless amount of throwaway comedy dialogue to support this premise.
Sure, your commercials, they suck ass. She better acting in an epileptic whorehouse.
Is that like the one your mom works at? Is she still offering the 2-for-1 discount? On the one hand, sure, she snuck off the reservation to get some dirty, damp, and deep. On the other hand, my very own PI is threatening to break my legs. That's like Thomas Magnum threatening that little prissy guy with the mustache. Christ, you too. All I can say is if I ever get anal polyps, I'll know what to name them.
But now as we head into the 6th and final season of Better Call Saul, in my opinion, it appears that the point of this show was of course to craft a much more deep, thought-provoking backstory to the character, and yes, it does appear to be more or less a character, Saul Goodman, that was much more complex and multi-layered than just the crass one-liner criminal lawyer we saw alongside Walter White in the plot of Breaking Bad. And also due to the fact that Better Call Saul co-creator Peter Gould also recently said in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter that by the time you finish watching Better Call Saul next season, you're going to see Breaking Bad in a very different light, I'm really starting to think that part of this different light is going to incorporate the fact that Saul Goodman is actually just a persona that Jimmy McGill plays up. Can't wait to see how it all unfolds next season.